Hey guys, Dave here from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with some of the crew.
I'm Ted.
I'm Nate.
Today we are going to D&Dize another character. Up until this point, we've done all Avengers, but this time we're going to go to a galaxy far, far away, a time long, long ago, and we're going to D&Dize
Luke Skywalker.
Luke Skywalker.
All right.
So I feel like this one's going to be a little tough. I mean, the Force is going to be hard to replicate.
Well, I mean, there's the natural inclination would be to go psionics, but with 5th edition we don't have psionics yet.
Right, we only have Nate's version, and I don't really think it's good, but I don't know that we can qualify it as official.
Right, absolutely.
So I think we're going to have to leave it alone.
Yeah, and the best thing would say for that would be Psychic Warrior.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they do get things like telekinetic shove and things like
that.
So
I actually have some ideas. I'm kind of leaning towards like a monk warlock build.
See, I was thinking along the lines of champion fighter sorcerer.
Champion fighter sorcerer. I don't know. What do you got over there, Nate?
I was actually going to be really lame and figure out how Eldritch Knight was going to work with it.
Although, well, Eldritch Knight isn't really a bad one.
But I feel like it's kind of a cop-out. It's like,
maybe,
the Magic Knight, you know. Like.
But think about it, right? Eldritch Knight, what's their primary thing they get when you become an Eldritch Knight? They get to call their weapon to their hand.
Yeah.
And that so is what they do with the lightsabers all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could just have it be different where it flicks to you wherever it's from.
I mean, then again, like Mage Hand could do the same thing.
Yes.
But could it do it as fast as a free action?
Now.
Is it a free action?
Bonus
action. With Eldritch Knight, do they do it as per sorcerer or do they do it as per wizard where they study out of a book?
They know their spells.
Okay.
So it's sorcerer.
All right.
Yeah, it's more like a sorcerer.
Then that's not too bad. That's why I was leaning towards sorcerer, because it's like I don't see these guys as whipping out a book. They know what they can do and they just do it.
They start off with 2 or 3 cantrips. They and then they get like 2 spells, and then they get a really slow spell progression. But I feel like that's probably fine for a Jedi.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot that you see them do until you get the uber powers.
Problem is they're never going to have telekinesis, and there's no minor telekinesis in this game. There's not. So
yeah, they're going to be able to Mage Hand. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and at the higher levels, but we're doing Luke Skywalker. Well, again, depending on if you go movies or books.
We're going Luke Skywalker, whiny Tatooine, Luke Skywalker.
Well, I mean, there's a couple different things to look at.
He's not crushing any AT-ATs.
There's a couple different things to look at here. Number one, if you went Eldritch Knight, you could have some things as a little bit reflavored. When you go to do like the push away, it's like, all right, well, you could say it's Thunderwave, and
a really quiet Thunderwave,
a silence
Thunderwave.
There's times that you just need to reflavor stuff so that things fit.
Yeah.
Now, if you want, and like the whole, grasping of a throat kind of thing, which Luke doesn't really do, but a Jedi thing does, that could really, the weaker version could be just a silence. Stop talking.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's more of a Sith thing anyway.
Yeah.
No,
just like Force Lightning.
Yeah.
More Sith thing.
But
they would get friends. I think friends.
Charm person.
Of course, the problem with that is that
Eldritch Knight is limited to Invocation Abjuration.
Well, as their major stuff. They're not strictly limited to only that. It's what you've got to take as, like, you need to have a certain amount of spells be that. And they already get limited amount of spells anyway, right?
Yes.
So that's why I was kind of leaning towards sorcerer, because you still have the ability to get all the levels of spells
and meta magic feat, so you could Mage Hand something as a bonus action.
Right. So you have the ability to plot and play with, and as a sorcerer with your sorcery points, you really can mass manipulate your spells to best use what you've actually got going on, and since you are going to be focusing on the actual, lightsaber combat stuff, you really can not worry about oh, I've got limited access stuff, and really just say, well, all the spells you know are all things that are Jedi oriented.
Right. Well, that's true. See, but I kind of felt like with the Warlock, you went Pack of the Blade, and I kind of saw the Force as being the patron.
Yeah, I mean that definitely
thematic that really works well.
That fits really well. They also have the charisma based situation. They have the
Invocations.
They have the invocations, which you could get some really interesting stuff. And that limited spell selection, you can have things, but I think the Warlock spell selection doesn't get you enough of.
That's where the Force patron comes in.
Well, yeah, I mean that's true because you would have different things from that patron. That would kind of make up for that somewhat. But then again, too, like we could always dip too into something else. You could take Warlock and you could dip a couple levels of Sorcerer.
That's true.
To build them, and so I kind of want to personally. I want to create a monk in there,
and then have it be a martial arts weapon that they can
use, the lightsaber would be like their martial arts weapon.
If they did Order of the is that Open Fist?
Open Fist, yeah.
Open Fist. Then they could do the shoving
or Open Hand.
They could do the shoving and the tripping and.
So I feel like thematically the monk really works. The sorcerer. The sorcerer really. I mean, you can only dip for a couple levels.
Right.
I don't know what we feel like we really have to get out of it.
Well, it depends upon what you're looking at. If you want to say with monk, you're getting like Step of the Wind and that kind of stuff to get their high and their far jumping that they wind up having. Some of their knockback stuff.
I feel like you need to have monk levels.
The Warlock, there's one of the invocations that basically gives you jump at will.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is completely covered, I think.
I think you're gonna, unless you're just straight 20 levels of Warlock or whatever, or how many levels of Warlock. I don't think you're gonna have enough invocations to cover everything that you want to get.
Well, there's only so many that are actually going to feel like Jedi anyway.
Yeah, I guess you got to figure that out, and then let's say there's 4 or 5, then you only need to go up to whatever level in Warlock to get them all.
Right, so we're looking at lots of levels of Warlock.
Back to the Blade.
Obviously, Pack to the Blade. Obviously, we're going to have the Force as your patron, which is going to require its own set of features.
Yes.
Which I might see an article sometime in the future. Are we doing fighter levels at all, or is that not really?
I think if we did monk levels, I think that's
you don't really need them. Yeah. You can actually
because you get extra attacks and an Open Fist. You can do flurry of blows and get all those extra abilities with it.
Yeah. So we're just allowing the lightsaber to be a monk weapon.
Yeah, we would just call it a monk weapon for this particular build.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's a weapon from an order.
Is it really that much different than using a short sword? I mean, it's a little bit longer, unless you're Yoda. Which is really weird that he has a mini lightsaber when it's an energy weapon, so it doesn't really weigh anything, and the length isn't really relevant.
Well, I think otherwise he would cut up the ground too much.
Yeah.
He's Yoda. He can cut the ground. He can cut the planet right in half if he needs to.
Just like this.
Well, it could due to the fact that the actual handle that goes in his hand needs to contain the energy in the crystal. So maybe the size of the actual handle limits the
Nate's like physics doesn't work like that at all.
Oh no, I would say instead that don't get into it, Ted.
Don't do it.
You need like an entire dimensional powerhouse to power one of those suckers anyway. Those crystals are like nuclear bombs. So a little tinier one isn't going to really make a difference, I think.
And again, like when you have a character like this anyway, we have to take into consideration, right? We probably have 20 or more levels to play with anyway. Right. I mean, he's definitely if he's not epic, he's got to be freaking close. He does eventually crush AT-ATs with his mind, so
yes, I would say impressive. Later. In the 7th movie, he'd be on that level probably.
Yeah. So so we like so monk, warlock, and sorcerer. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of classes to dip anyway.
So sorcerer and warlock require charisma, which he apparently has to put some points into that because the beginnings of the movie he doesn't really quite have the charisma.
But
well, he's also a youngin.
Yeah, well, but sorcerer too. Like, what origin do you go with? It's almost like, oh, we need a Force origin now too.
Well, yeah, we don't quite.
That sounds like one article: Force origin and Warlock patron of the Force.
Let's see what we can do.
So because like, and that might also be another place for him for the Jedi flavoring to come in.
Right.
Although then again, like, we're kind of like going outside the realm of
D&Dizing.
D&Dizing when we have to like start customizing.
Yeah,
that
customizing
stuff.
everything.
Yeah. So if we pull it back and we decide, you know what, we're going to stay within the realms of the Unearthed Arcana articles and the PHB, what does that look like?
Great old one pact, probably.
For telepathy.
Yeah, telepathy and also thrall and a few other things.
The ability to speak directly into the minds, that totally works.
Yeah,
I mean, that's also similar to message.
Right.
But I mean, I think you can do it over great distances with telepathy.
No, with telepathy, it's short range.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
30
it
feet.
is?
Yeah, but it's very much broader, and I mean, it's actually a little bit stronger than what generally gets used.
Right.
But you know, you can put some self-limiting mental blocks on Luke.
Yeah.
That you know, he's not that good yet. So great old one pact, pack of the blade.
Right. Obviously, this way you get to shape the weapon to be what you want it to be.
Oh yeah, good point.
So now here's the problem with sorcerers. Then you need an origin, and none of them fit.
Yeah, that's the problem with dragon is you kind of look like a dragon and breathe fire or whatever or lightning.
Yeah, and chaos is, you know, you can't control your stuff, and you know, storm.
All right. Well,
I think I got a solution for that. You know how so you've got crazy stuff happens around major central characters like that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say instead we have more of like the Dresden-esque feel of crazy stuff happens and there's a reason. It's not like wild chaos magic, but when a tides of chaos thing occurs, like you can get an advantage with that, right? And then you get another wild surge at some point.
Yeah.
So just have it be like, oh, there's a reason for this wild surge, like the fireball at your feet. Someone threw an explosive at you. Or, you turn into a potted plant. I think that's going to be rough to spin.
Or a sheep, yeah.
Well,
or a sheep, but...
All right, well, you know, without having to, again, going back into the super customizing stuff, you know, perhaps just the luck of, you know, the character, you know, I totally see chaos is going to fit better than storm or dragon.
And you can mostly live through everything.
Right. So I think that there are a number of things, and you know, the turning yourself blue, growing, shrinking, that stuff doesn't, you know, hasn't really happened, and we are looking at, you know, a low number of rolls that, you know, the chaos thing really goes off on.
And if we say he's higher, I think 14th level, and you get the pick, you roll twice and pick.
Right.
I mean, it can kind of like negate that a little bit.
Right.
And then like, if we gave him lucky,
yeah, I was just gonna say
he can mitigate actual rolls of 1,
right?
Which lucky fits for any kind of hero type character.
Exactly.
Almost.
Yes.
So we have that. So 14. That means we just said 14 levels of sorcerer,
which is going to give him the higher spell levels that he's going to need for those major impacts that he does later on.
Yeah, like telekinesis.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So okay, then
Bigby's hand.
What's that? Bigby's hand.
Bigby's
Oh
hand.
yeah, that's a good one. Especially if you reskin it and say there's no visible hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have monk and warlock. So warlock we could really just dip 3 levels probably.
Just for the couple invocations.
For a couple invocations.
Pack of the blade.
And pack of the blade.
That should make up for any more Jedi.
So now we're at 17th level, and then you know at least 5 levels of monk.
All right.
Yeah.
Because that gives us an extra attack. Yeah, it might even be 6 levels of monk, whatever.
Yeah.
So what would you go with for a background?
He's a local hero. He's a
folk hero.
hero.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking.
Yeah, there's not really anything that's gonna fit there.
Other than that, yeah. I was gonna say if it was Obi-Wan, it'd be real easy. You'd be like hermit.
Well, I don't know, man.
I mean, he could be. See, the thing is, he's basically.
It depends where in his life you run into him.
When he starts off, I'd say he's an outlander, except that the desert planet I don't think he would actually live out on his own in the desert planet. It's more like, I mean, you have live in a moisture farm. It's like he lives in a little like bubble of life in this terrible desert area.
Well, see,
So I don't really think he has the skills that an Outlander would have for all that. So
I go folk hero mainly because it's that whole, you know.
That's the whole beginning of his story.
Yeah.
Is he kind of is like this country bumpkin that gets sucked into this bigger thing.
Right. And that's kind of the way I see folk hero is that it's like you really are a nothing
you're a folk hero. What'd you do? I rescued the princess.
a lot of things happened, and I somehow ended up a knight.
yeah, kind of like that.
You know, and that's the way I see, like, you know, folk hero totally fits. I mean, there's some characters that, you know, it's like, I chose folk hero because I wanted these skills, but here it totally, like, it fits.
Yeah, and then like some things like land vehicles, he would probably have that.
Definitely.
Where do we see him right in the very beginning with a land speeder?
Yep.
You know, so that kind of stuff, you know, works out pretty well.
Yep.
I guess we can still call that a land vehicle, right?
Well,
It travels along the land. I
Yeah.
don't think you can actually fly in.
No,
there.
you can't.
It's a hover
a
thing.
vehicle.
So
Yeah. So we got that all hammered out. Obviously, he's human.
right, yeah.
And then what else feats?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there any feats that definitely fit for him?
So like any Jedi could always have alertness.
Yeah,
I feel like
that works.
Yeah.
Warcaster possibly.
Is that the one that allows you to cast right up close?
Warcast, no, that's crossbow expert.
Okay.
Warcaster, what it allows you to do, it gives you advantage on concentration checks. It allows you to have weapons in either hands and still cast spells. And there's one other. Oh, it allows you to substitute one of your spells as an attack of opportunity that targets one creature.
I think that one definitely fits.
Yeah,
that
absolutely fits.
So Warcaster, possibly alertness. We said lucky already.
Now, here's an odd one. If we're saying that Jedi and Sith are essentially going to be spellcasters, does he have Mage Hunter?
Does he have mage armor?
Mage Hunter.
Oh, Mage Hunter. You know what? That's possible. But does Luke have it? Is the question. And it so like it really does depend at like it's Mage Slayer, I believe.
Is it Mage Slayer?
Yeah, and it really depends on where exactly you come into
Mage
the
Slayer.
into the story. You know, it just makes you more effective against other casters. And it almost feels like any decent Jedi kind of has that. Like Yoda would absolutely have that.
Oh, definitely.
And so would probably Obi-Wan, but Luke in the first trilogy does not. You know, as you get up, because you know he's still with all the other ones. It's like, okay, we're equally matched when it comes to the Force, so we have to do this old school.
Yeah, there's a level of martial competency that he's lacking in the first one.
Yes. Yeah, and he isn't even.
I mean, he gets his hand chopped off. Yeah. Before the shocking
Luke
revelation.
Skywalker, you're such a pussy. You got your hand cut off. You heard it from Nate the Nerdarchy.
Hey, I didn't say it was that. I just said, you know, he obviously was not up to snuff against Darth Vader. So.
Well, yes, and also, you know, the Emperor was able to shut him down with Force lightning like it was nobody's business. It's like. Pfft.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you know, the Emperor is clearly, you know, an epic level.
Oh yeah, he's
so.
no Yoda. Luke is no Yoda. So, I think that pretty much wraps it up.
So we got a handful of feats.
So what about athlete? I feel like he'd have that towards the end after all the training and things.
He might, but he might also be getting that from Monk.
Oh yeah.
You-
And he
yeah.
could just have athletics.
Yeah, and not, he's kind of getting it from Monk, and not only that too is like, you know, I would definitely go with the invocation that gives you jump at will.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
he's doing athletic stuff through other means fairly easy, I believe.
That's true.
At that point.
I think so.
So
we got human, folk hero, and then a combination of warlock, sorcerer, and monk.
yes, we do. So I think we can put a lightsaber in this one.
I think so.
All right, guys. In the comments below, how did we do? While you're at it, like, subscribe, and even share.
You can check us out on nerdarchy.com.
can also join the conversation over on Reddit.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.
Electric Knight isn't really a bad one.
But
Because
I feel like it's kind of a cop-out. It's like,
Maybe,
oh, the
but-
Magic Knight, you know? Like,
But think about it, right? Eldritch Knight, what's their primary thing they get when you become an Eldritch Knight? They get to call their weapon to their hand.
yeah.
yeah,
And that so is what they do with the lightsabers all the time.
Yeah.
yeah.
You could just have it be different where it flicks to you wherever it's from.
I mean, then again, like Mage Hand could do the same thing.
Yes.
but could it do it as fast as a free action?
Now,
Is it in a free action?
Bonus.
with
action.
Eldritch Knight, do they do it as per sorcerer or do they do it as per wizard, where they study out of a book?
They know their spells.
Okay.
So it's sorcerer.
All right.
Yeah, it's more like a
Okay, 'cause
sorcerer.
Then that's not too bad. That's why I was leaning towards.
Right. We only have Nate's
stuff.
version, and I don't really think it's good, but I don't know that we can qualify it as official.
Right. Absolutely.
So I think we're gonna have to leave it alone.
Yeah, and the best thing I would say for that would be Psychic Warrior.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they do get things like telekinetic shove and things like
So
that.
I actually have some ideas. I'm kind of leaning towards like a monk, warlock build.
See, I was thinking along the lines of champion, fighter, sorcerer.
Champion, fighter, sorcerer. I don't know. What do you got over there, Nate?
I was actually going to be really lame and figure out how Eldritch Knight was going to work with it.
Although, hey guys, Dave here from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with some of the crew.
I'm Ted.
I'm Nate.
Today we are going to DvesvesDized another character. Up until this point, we've done all Avengers, but this time we're going to go to a galaxy far, far away, a time long, long ago, and we're going to DvesvesDize
Luke Skywalker.
Luke Skywalker.
All right.
So I feel like this was going to be a little tough. I mean, the Force is going to be hard to replicate.
Well, I mean, there's the natural inclination would be to go psionics, but with 5th edition we don't have psionics yet.
And again, depending on if you go movies or books.
We're going Luke Skywalker, whiny Tatooine Luke Skywalker.
Well, I mean, there's a couple different things to look at.
He's
here.
not crushing any AT-ATs.
There's a couple different things to look at here. Number one, if you went Eldritch Knight, you could have some things as a little bit reflavored. When you go to do like the push away, it's like, all right, well, you could say it's Thunderwave, and
A really quiet thunder wave.
A silence thunder wave.
there's times that you just need to reflavor stuff so that things fit.
Yeah.
Now, if you want, and like the whole, grasping of a throat kind of thing, which Luke doesn't really do, but a Jedi sorcerer, because it's like I don't see these guys as whipping out a book. They know what they can do and they just do it.
They start off with 2 or 3 cantrips. They and then they get like 2 spells, and then they get a really slow spell progression. But I feel like that's probably fine for a Jedi.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot that you see them do until you get the uber powers.
Problem is they're never going to have telekinesis. And there's no minor telekinesis in this game. There's not. So.
Yeah, they're gonna be able to Mage Hand. That's it.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and yeah, at the higher levels, but we're doing Luke Skywalker. Well, again.